In NFL draft circles, the word generational gets thrown down way too easily, but Travis Hunter is just that. Not only is he a rare two-way player who can actually play snaps both ways to a high level, this guy would be the wide receiver 1 in this class and the cornerback 1 in this class. But how does he actually look as a wide receiver? And where on earth can you take him in fantasy drafts? If you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing. But we are going to take a deep dive into Travis Hunter as a wide receiver and talk about where you should be drafting him in your rookie drafts. Let's get into it. The first thing that you notice about Hunter is just incredible football IQ. And this isn't a huge surprise, obviously. This is someone that plays both ways, which means that he has an understanding of coverages. He has an understanding of leverage. He has an understanding of body control and how to box out a cornerback because he knows how defenders or how wide receivers have done it to him when he's on the other side. And so he knows the things that he doesn't like to face. It's such an incredible skill set, which is so rare, but it's one that he really shows off. He also is then able to read a defense essentially like a quarterback and can then adapt to that information. So he knows if it's zone coverage immediately. He knows who's covering him immediately. He can identify then where the holes in those zones are going to be and make his way towards them within the route, sit down within them, come back to the quarterback. It is such a high level of football IQ that can only really be achieved by either playing 2 years or playing 6 to 8 years in the NFL. And Hunter is already there as a rookie. It's incredibly impressive. But it's not just intelligence with him, it is elite athleticism. He has fantastic ball skills. Again, he shows off the ability that he can make plays on the ball as a corner, the same as a wide receiver, but he's able to extend outside of his frame in a way that really doesn't make any sense. He is a relatively slender receiver, but he can just extend and grab passes that just shouldn't be his. It makes no sense that he should be able to get to them, but he does. He then is a fantastic route runner. So it's football IQ, it's athleticism, it's technical precision as well. Like his shiftiness and burst after the catch are truly elite. The ability to then create yak through this athleticism is very impressive as well. He is also great at the catch point. There is so much to like about Hunter. It is a rare combination of movement abilities, intelligence and precision, technical precision, as well as just the understanding of football. This is someone that if he were just playing wide receiver, I think he'd really be in conversation for the wide receiver 1 between him and Ted McMillan. I think I might end up leaning Hunter, which I didn't think I would before scouting him for this video, but he is just that fantastic. Obviously, the worry for fantasy is that he is not just going to be a wide receiver, but as a receiver, let's check out some of the weaknesses of his game as well. So one of the weaknesses of his game is just he has a limited amount of experience at wide receiver just because he's been playing 2 ways. We haven't seen him do this full time. We don't know what it looks like full time. Now we can extrapolate out from what we have seen, and that is incredibly impressive, but it is just a little bit of an unknown. The main weakness to his game is just that skinny frame. He can definitely struggle with more physical corners, and actually the way in which he can sometimes be shut out of games and dominated by press coverage is definitely a weakness to his game. I think this is a Z more than it's an X, and someone that if they are playing against a Pat Surtain or a 3 years ago, Jalen Ramsey, this is someone who's really going to struggle. He just is a more slender receiver, and you have to come up with slightly more creative ways to use him than just going and putting him on the boundary and letting him dominate, because he can get jammed at the line and he can just struggle hands fighting because he's just not that big of a player. But the main weakness of his game is that two-way question, and I want to spend some time on this here. If you are taking Travis Hunter in rookie drafts, if you're drafting right now, he is almost impossible to click. The current most predicted landing spot to him is New England, who are very needy for a wide receiver. If he goes New England, I believe he'll play 70-30 offense to defense. And if that's the case, I would draft him as my wide receiver 2. I can't take him as the wide receiver 1 overall just because he's not going to play there full time. And also, his role may continue to change as he's in the NFL. So it might be that he starts off as a predominantly wide receiver and then moves over to playing predominantly corner when he's with different coaching staffs. If he ends up going to the Browns at 2 overall, or potentially even later down the list, it's just not going to be clear where he's going to be. If he ends up being 50-50, which is truly unlikely, I think he'll be predominantly one side of the ball, I wouldn't really consider taking him until the back of the first round. And it's such a shame for a player like this because he is a truly special receiving talent, but he is just a truly special corner as well. So I can see why teams and why Hunter feels the need to play both ways, and you want to maximize his skill set. But for fantasy, you just have to be a little bit careful with him. And if he was a full-time receiver, you could definitely get away with playing him, with really spending up for him. A full-time receiver, he would be definitely the 101, or the wide receiver 1 in this class. But as a sort of 70-30, maybe wide receiver 2, even less, he has to just drop down draft boards and drop towards the back of the first, the beginning of the second round. In terms of his playstyle comparison, he reminds me quite a lot of Devonta Smith, and it's not just the skinnier frame, it's the explosivity, it's the shockingly long arms and huge wingspan for the skinny frame, then the route running ability. I think they're actually relatively similar players. If anything, Hunter is probably a slightly better mover than Devonta Smith, but that's who I see when I watch Hunter play. His projected draft value, like I said, I think most likely New England at this point. I think chances are the Titans, Colts aren't drafting 1 overall. The Titans are going to go Cam Ward. I think probably the Browns end up going quarterback or trading out, but I think potentially Shador ends up going 102, whether it's to the Giants or to the Browns. So then I think the Patriots end up with a choice between him and Abdul Carter, unless Abdul Carter goes to the Browns. I think he probably lands with the Patriots. I think if that's the case, that's fantastic. But his floor is probably going to be top 5. You know, he is probably the second best player in this class behind Abdul Carter, and then Ashton Genty probably third behind them. But I think his floor is probably top 5, so he's probably going to land there. Rookie draft value, I obviously spoke about in the last section about where you can take him depending on where he ends up playing. If he's just being drafted as a wide receiver, look, it's anywhere between like the 102 and the 106. He's going to be the hardest evaluation of any player this offseason. If Roger Goodell goes on stage and announces him as cornerback Travis Hunter, it's a completely different question as if he's announced as wide receiver or unicorn or however he ends up being announced. I can't remember what he was actually announced as for the Heisman Trophy, whether it's just football player. So it's really tough with Travis Hunter. Like, if he is drafted as a corner, or if he's drafted and we're not sure, take him at the beginning of the second, take him at the back of the first, and pray that he ends up playing more on offense. Because if he does, this is a truly game-changing receiver. I want to know down below in the comments where you would draft Travis Hunter right now. If your league is drafting before the NFL draft, where on earth are you taking him? What are you doing about Hunter? And while you're there, please consider liking and subscribing and checking out all of the other rookie profiles available on my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.